Now, in our first story, Central Regional Minister Duncan is urging government appointees to be more sensitive to the needs of the people on whose behalf they occupy their offices. According to the regional minister, citizens are increasingly becoming aware of the duties and obligations the assemblies are supposed to charge for them and should not disappoint them. Now, Duncan was speaking at the Citizens Empowerment Project spearheaded by Coastal TV and Star Ghana. Richard Kojunyako has more.
The Citizens Empowerment Project was done in 5 district assemblies in the central region, namely Cape Coast, Commander Ednegwa for Ebrim, Infantaman, Himanloa Dinchra, and Abra Sebukwamankese districts. The project had its objective of making the citizenry gain more understanding on local government issues and what their taxes are used for specifically. For a period of 5 years, the citizens in the 5 districts were sensitized on their basic roles and responsibilities towards the assembly and how they can ultimately demand accountability from the various assemblies. The assemblies, on the other hand, were schooled on how to engage the citizenry so as to respond to their demands. Regional Minister Duncan is upbeat that a project, when replicated in other districts, would help deepen the frontiers of democracy in Ghana and urge the DCEs and other government appointees to make the challenges of the citizenry their priority.
It's important that as an MC, as a DCE, you should always be regular in the community because it is local government. The essence of it. The district assembly concept is local government. It is about the people. It is about their welfare. That the marketplace where they go to sell, that they've been to the market, they've been to the farm for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. They have harvested the produce. They must have a place to sell. It's a place where they want to sell in good condition. The MC or DCE, you must know that.
Gender Equality and Social Inclusive Manager with Star Ghana, sponsors of the project, Eunice Agbenyaji, recounts some of the successes of the project.
We have seen that through citizens now following up on projects implemented by the assemblies, it has motivated district assemblies to ensure that these projects are completed. You know, one of the things we gathered at the start of the project was that, and it's a known situation, that when a new government comes into power, many times projects started by previous governments do not get completed. So this received huge attention in the project. So we saw clinics that were started being completed. We saw schools that were started being completed. We saw markets also being completed.
Coastal TV, a Joy News affiliate in Cape Coast, implementers of the project, believes many challenges with the district assemblies could be resolved if the assemblies opened up to the citizenry by engaging them. Richard Kwejunyako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Now, oftentimes, industry players blame low productivity in the public sector on the lack of professional personnel. That is about to change as the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations has inaugurated an LI review committee to see to the drafting of a bill that will give legal backing for the establishment and operation of the Management Development and Productivity Institute, the MDPI. The institute will augment the industrial skill deficit that is facing the country. There's more in this report. Expect that story later in the bulletin. Now, there's an outbreak of a strange disease destroying shea trees in the northern, upper east and upper west regions. Affected trees wither suddenly and die. Shea trees are a source of livelihood for many households and families in that part of the country. Correspondent Martina Bugri reports.
The communities affected include Malwe, Jindabuo, Kanwe, Nankpala, among others in the Sola and Bole districts of the northern region. Some other communities in the Sisala East of the Upper West region and Navrongo in the Upper East region have also recorded what industry players refer to as strange attack on the shea tree. A farmer at Maluwe, Abu Dulusina, said the destruction is affecting economic activities in the area.
The shea tree is helping our women in such a way that they take care of their children to go to school. Now the shea tree is no more green. Because of that, it is affect our children not to get their school fees to go to school, to come and help us. So as at now, we don't know the reason why the tree is dying.
A share picker, Dunu Zinazi, appealed to government to consider adding their community to the Planting for Food and Jobs program.
They're saying that if they come to help with the seedlings or the seeds, that the government should help them through the planting of food for jobs, so that it will help them in the near future.
Programs coordinator of the Jaksali Village Savings and Loan Scheme, Jeremiah Sedu, said more than 300 trees have been destroyed in just one village. He said its repercussion is high. He appealed to government to intervene.
It is a worry for us that this is an income generating for not just the women, but for everybody here. If you don't eat shea fruits, you eat shea butter. If you don't eat shea butter, you get the money from your wife. If you don't get the money, she'll pay school fees with it. If she doesn't pay school fees with it, she'll sell and buy something. A livelihood for almost everybody in this area. So for us as development people, if we come to the community to monitor VSLAs and we see that what the VSLAs are depending on is being taken away, it becomes a worry for us. So for us, we are calling on all agencies. First, we are calling on the district assemblies. We are calling on the Minister of Agric. We are calling on government that something needs to be done. They should find out and see. If it was on the farm, we'll say because of the continuous tillage, the continuous plowing. But what of those ones in the forest? It is an income, it is a livelihood. People depend on it. Ghanaians depend on it. They pay tax through this. So I think that this should be a worry for the nation.
A senior lecturer at the University for Development Studies, who's done a lot of research on the share, Dr. Joshua Adams-Yidana, said the sudden death of these trees could be a combination of factors, including disease.
The immediate sudden death, like is happening, is most likely to come from diseases. There are so many, some diseases that affect the tree. But I suspect mostly as trees age, stem borers become very, the infestation becomes very high. So I think it might be a combination of stem borers, other diseases, and drought.
Still watching Joy News today. Now, alumni of the University Hall of KNUST, popularly known as Katanga, are infuriated by school authorities' decision to assign females to the all-male hall. 9 out of the 43 females in the first batch of continuing students to be given accommodation were allocated to the hall. Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor Obri Danso, early this year announced plans to convert all male halls, that is, University Hall and rivals Unity Hall, to unisex halls. The school explains the conversion is to increase girl enrollment in STEM education. But the alumni reveals the action will not achieve the intended purpose and it will also break the culture of the halls. Let's speak to correspondent Nanaya Ojima, who has been speaking to some students and joins us on the phone for more. Nanaya, what are the concerns of the students you spoke with?
All right, so at the moment, a lot of the students who are on break now are not aware of what's happening. But I've been able to establish contact with the 9 females who have been assigned that room. And the people, the ones I spoke to, are yet to decide on whether they will accept this being assigned to the all-male hall. Because speaking to these students, they say even on campus, they are afraid of the threat that these young men pose at the school. So this is informing their decision whether to accept being assigned to the hall or not. I've been speaking to some of these students, and one of them told me her father has warned her against accepting the posting to the hall for the next semester. And others who I've been also speaking to tell me, and they are yet to take a concrete decision on that. But one of them emphatically told me that she has decided not to go, and therefore she is now making alternative arrangements to get into the hall. But some of the students who today I found on campus, though they are on break, they tell me they think it's not a good idea, and though the school authorities have assigned some reasons, they think the school authorities will have to reconsider. And if they want to increase the number of females in the school, it will be prudent for them to find alternative arrangements that build more hostels or more halls and take in all these females. So it's kind of a mixed feeling, and I don't know if all the students or the other students who will be added to this number, this 9, will accept posting or will accept a residential facility at this hostel.
Of going to live in the university hall, or at least has agreed to go and live there.
Can you please repeat your question?
I am asking if out of the students you've spoken to, any one of them has expressed, excitement or has at least agreed to go and stay in the boys' hall.
Two of them tell me they'll be moving in, but they are not excited about this decision of the school. But they say that they'll be moving in since they think they have no option. Because at the moment, they tell me most of the alternative arrangement, that's the hostels, are full. And therefore, considering the distance they are coming from and other reasons, they will have to accept, especially if school authorities will will give reasons or will tell them that they are safe in the hall.
And the school authorities have not made it clear to these female students yet that they are going to be safe in the hall.
All right, so the list just got pasted at the halls, but they are yet to communicate to the students officially. But at the moment, the school is having a graduation ceremony for those who just completed the university. So school authorities are yet to officially communicate this to other people who are interested parties, and will have to get the due information on this issue.
Thank you very much, Nanaya Ojima, for that report. Nanaya is our man in the Ashanti region telling us about this new development in KNUST. Now, President Akufo-Addo has cut short for the rehabilitation, expansion and modernization of the Kpong Left Bank Irrigation Project, KLBIP, in Togome, in the North Tong district of the Volta region. The project is one of the 4 components of the Ghana Commercial Agriculture Project, GCAP, to rehabilitate and expand 4 selected major public irrigation schemes. The project is expected to drive the prospects of government planting for food and jobs program and one village, one dam policies when ready. The president cut short for the project on the last day of his 3-day tour of the Volta region.
The project, estimated at a cost of about $34 million, is being funded by the World Bank and USAID. The 18-month project includes the expansion of the dam's gravity scheme and provide irrigation to about 1,000 farmlands outside the gravity command area. Agribusiness in the catchment area is expected to increase. This includes improving crop intensity and provide better climate adaptation. President Akufo-Addo said the project forms part of government's aim to transform the country's agricultural landscape to inure to the benefit of the citizenry and drive economic growth.
Farm employment, which at present stands at approximately 178,000 man-days per year, will increase to about 405,000 man-days per year after project implementation. The project will also lead to the creation of jobs and, in addition, to the completion of various agribusinesses down the value chain. Based on a comprehensive evaluation, 9 crops have been selected for cultivation under the scheme. These are rice, maize, soybean, cowpea, pepper, okra, cabbage, watermelon, and butternut squash.
He said a supervisory body would be established to man operations, maintenance, and management of the irrigation scheme.
The Ghana Irrigation Development Authority, GIDA, will appoint supervisors to regulate all water user associations and oversee all activities related to the operation, management, and maintenance of the scheme. This project will cost the Ghanaian taxpayer an estimated $34 million United States dollars. It is expected that the operation, maintenance, and management of the scheme will be financed by irrigation water users in the scheme through regular payment of irrigation service charges.
Traditional authorities in the catchment areas expressed gratitude to government for the project. They, however, appealed for a modern hospital to attend to the health needs of the people. Fred Kwame Asaris reports for Joy News.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, police in the central region have ordered a seizure in the movement of persons in the region following the outbreak of African swine fever. Correspondent Richard Kojo joins us on phone with the latest. Kojo, when was this directive issued and how are the indigents responding to it?
Well, this directive was issued about 3 days ago, and it was directed at the Ghana Police Service because there was a ban on the movement of pigs from one place to the other. But the veterinary services want the police to step in to help them enforce the ban. And so this directive was given about 3 days ago.
So the ban is on the movement of pigs?
Exactly. The ban is on movement of, because of the African swine fever that is sweeping through the central region. The police have, the veterinary services have not been able to put the number of pigs that have been affected, but they tell us that the situation is very dire and they need the intervention of the police to help them enforce the ban they have placed on the movement of pigs.
Now, how widespread is the outbreak?
It is widespread, considering the fact that they are calling in the police and the media in the central region to help them educate the people. They don't want people to move their pigs from one place to the other. So if this is not enforced, they believe that it will affect a number of pigs that are in the central region, and it will be very disastrous for the business, those who are dealing with pork.
Right. Kojo, you've been speaking with the Central Region PRO of the police, Irene Opong, on the restriction of movement of pigs. What has she been telling you?
Well, Irene Opong has been telling me that they've accepted the letter that has been written to them by the veterinary services, and they are also drawing a roadmap to ensure, to help them ensure that the ban is effectively pursued. And so that is what the police command has been telling. They say that they have also sent a wireless message to all the borders and all the various police depots that they have in the central region, so that should any person move one pig to the other destination, they will be able to prevent them from doing so.
Right. Thank you very much, Richard Kojo for that report. Now, this week on Joy News Agenda, we are looking at human activities such as improper handling of waste and how those activities lead to flooding. We wrap up this week's focus with a report from Western Region correspondent Nathalia Kwanta.
Flooding has become a perennial problem in major communities within the Sekondi Takoradi metropolis. For the past 2-3 years, residents of the oil city have had to brace themselves up for the worst, as homes along major drains and lowlands areas have been covered with large volumes of water, rendering many homeless and destroying properties running into millions of cedis. In this report, I'm looking at flooding situation in Sekondi Takoradi, which is also one of the flood-prone cities in Ghana, and how the residents here have contributed to the situation. This place is Ayadu, a suburb of Sekondi Takoradi. Quite recently, the entire place was flooded just because of the poor drainage system and the volumes of water that run over here anytime there is heavy downpour. As you can see, occupants of the entire household have been locked in there. Nobody knows what is happening, and they have been in there for hours.
There is a culvert that has been built there by two people, and they have diverted the water, and then the water passes through in between people's buildings. It's a mess, and then it comes here, and because it is artificially made, it turns angle of 90 degrees at various points, and I haven't seen water that turns angle of 90 degrees. That means it has been tampered with, and somebody has diverted it, and now the water empties onto my property, and it's a hell. I want the city authorities to come in there and do the right thing. That culvert should be demolished. That culvert should be demolished, and now where the water should pass, that is where they have their walls and then the flower pots. So I want the water to flow through its original, where it's supposed to flow through, and not the artificially created one.
At the Market Circle, undoubtedly the biggest business center in the Twin City, and it is also not spared of the flooding anytime it rains. But over here, the coconut retail business is the first to welcome you to the center, no matter which of the 6 entering and exit points you use. Coconut vendors here make hundreds of cedis in sales each day, largely due to the crave for the juicy coconut and its related health benefits. But what has been silent about the trade is how the coconut husks are disposed of each day after close of trade.
We put the husk inside a communal container here at the Market Circle. But I'm also aware some of my colleagues dump it on the floor where they sell. I can't even tell if it is the intention of my other colleagues to make this place dirty, or they come to make profits.
We give
the husk to a certain guy to dispose it for at a cost of 250 cedis each day after work. Sometimes we come and meet the husk here, but we clear it and dump it inside the communal container at a cost.
The STMA, just like other cities, have the polluter pay system, where dustbins have been distributed to homes to pay a token for waste generated. But it will surprise you to note that most of them dispose their waste into gutters and other open places with the least drop of rainfall.
I believe the Ministry of Environment and Waste Management, they have a lot of education to do to the general public, because most of us, when we buy pure water sachets, rubbers, and other plastics, we end up disposing it anywhere we find them, because we don't have any waste bins around available for us to put them in. So at the end of the day, if the authorities in charge don't come and sweep around to make sure the city is clean, it gets up getting to the gutters and choking them. And I believe the monthly cleanup exercise also helps, but it shouldn't be just once a month. It should be more than once a month, so that the city will get clean and all that. Yes, I believe so.
But that's it for Joy News today. I am Daniel Daze. For more news, log on to myjoyonline.com. And don't forget number 12, when greed and misconduct become the norm. That explosive investigative piece by Anas Arimiel Anas shows tonight at 9 p.m. on this channel. Don't miss it. That is bye for now.